up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today is going to be part 2 of putting in work on the white Integra. You gotta get this thing to pass inspection soon so I can really start doing some work to the silver car. I have some exhaust work to do. I have oil pan gasket and a couple other things. So I hope you guys enjoy.
So the first thing I'm going to start on is installing these energy suspension shifter bushings. Here's the part number. This is a relatively simple upgrade, but it makes a huge difference, especially if you have the bushings that have been on the car since they were new. So I'm going to show you how to put these on real quick. First thing you want to do is remove the shifter. I already loosened up a little set screw on the spoon knob, so then you just twist this off. And then you want to go under the car. So once you get under the car, you'll follow the shift linkage forward. Under here you have a pin. You have to move the boot to gain access to it. And over here, there's a bushing. On the GSR, I have this cover, so I'm going to have to remove this 10 and this one right here. So once you pull this boot back, you'll see a bitch pin right here. There'll be a little C-clip that goes around it that you just want to pop off. You can do it by hand. And once you remove the cover, there'll be a 12mm bolt here. I'm just going to take a small Allen key socket and a hammer and pop this out. You just want to bang up. Sometimes it's a little difficult to come out. Sometimes it'll come right out. So once you get the pin and the 12 out, you'll follow the linkage back to where you see the shifter going into the car here. Just go a little bit further back and you'll see a 12mm here and one here. Just remove that, and then the whole linkage should drop, and then just wiggle it off the shaft of the transmission. So this is what the linkage looks like pulled out the car. It's super greasy, so I sprayed some little greaser on it. The shifter has some tape on it. I'm going to remove and clean this up real quick. This is the bushing here, and this one here we're going to be replacing. So I'm going to clean this up real quick and then show you how to switch them out. So for the rear bushing, this is just pretty much going to slide off this way. It might take a little bit of work. But inside here you have these metal sleeves. You need to save these, and you need to save this cover here. On this side, it's just going to push out. May take a little bit of effort. I'm going to try it with a flathead. These came out with little effort. Here's the little sleeves and the plate. Here's the new bushings. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on these, slide these back in, and then I'm going to put a little bit of grease inside here and push this back in. You want to make sure the concave side is facing towards the driver's side front wheel. So with very little effort, that popped back in. I just sat in a vise. I didn't even space the other side. Gave it like 2 or 3 cranks and it slid right in because of grease. This side's on. Make sure you install this metal bracket when you put it back on the car. You pretty much just put this back on the same way you took it off. Okay, so when I first got this car, it came with a DC Sports catback exhaust, pretty much brand new. It had a test pipe and no O2 sensors, and the bombs were open, so this car was super loud. So I put the header on, and I got a cap already welded on one side, and I installed the rear O2 sensor. For the upstream, the connector's missing. It's just the 4 wires with the pins hanging. So I didn't really like the DC Sports Fart Cannon. This is what came on the other car. Some eBay exhaust, but it looks a lot better. So I'm going to use this because it was super quiet. I'm going to bolt this B pipe and the S up. I'm going to end up cutting this side off right here because I want to V-band that to the keg. So I'm going to install this and get some measurements and I'll show you what it looks like on the car. So this is the universal 2.5-inch MagnaFlow cat I picked up. I bought this flange off of eBay. It came with the donut gasket. I think it was like 20 bucks. I did weld around here, but I used some exhaust glue just in case there was any pinholes. Like I said before, I'm not a good welder. I'll probably be better if I wasn't using a Harbor Freight welder. Right here is the O2 sensor bong. Put it on an angle, that way it doesn't hit the exhaust tunnel. And I didn't have a bong, so I used a exhaust spark plug fowler. It holds in there just fine. So now I'm going to take this V-band. I also purchased off of eBay. This was like 13 bucks. So I'm going to weld the flange on this side. And once I get that on, I'm going to line up the midsection of the exhaust to see where I'm going to have to cut that at, so I can V-band the other side. I have the V-band welded up on the cat to the adapter for the piping for the DC Sports Center section. The gray is this muffler and tailpipe sealer, just in case there's any pinholes. I don't want it to leak. So I'm going to fit this to the car, then mark the B-pipe from the DC Sports section, cut that, stick it in the sleeve, and weld it around here. And then I'll just have to do the last S section, and that should be done. So I finished up all the welding on the exhaust, but I'm waiting for the exhaust glue to fill in any pinholes I might have missed. I'm gonna install some of the Downstar V3 hardware I ordered. I'm gonna do the fender bolts and the hood bolts and the license plate bolts. Have the new bolts in. They look 10 times better. I'm gonna try to order some more. That way I can do the whole front bumper and headlights across here. But right now, I'm throwing these spark plugs. Now the exhaust is on. Figured I'd show it to you. So here's the exhaust. Nice and tucked up tight. All the way up. It's not connected at the V-band. I'm about to drop the exhaust manifold. I need to change the oil pan gasket. I thought it wasn't leaking, but I wiped it down. And it's still getting oil on it, and it's not the drain plug. So I'm gonna change that now. Exhaust manifold is off. Have it sitting right over here. The oil's draining out the oil pan. So I'm going to change the pan gasket. And I picked up the stud conversion from 1320 Performance. It's like 15 bucks. You're going to want to remove the dust cover from the transmission and these two brackets here. A few 17, 12, and 10 millimeter bolts. Then you're going to want to remove all the 10 millimeter bolts around the oil pan. I believe it's 19 of them. Once you get the oil pan down, you want to clean this up really good, especially on the mating surface. I used a whole can of brake clean, just cleaning this. And underneath the car, I installed the studs. I left some of the factory ones on there. But if you did want to take the factory ones off, you screw a nut on, screw another nut on, tighten the bottom one with a socket, and then take an open end wrench and loosen it. And the pressure of the nut turning against the other nut will make the bolt spin out. But I didn't see the point in it doing that. On the oil pump side, want a very thin layer of RTV, less than paper thin, on this side and right back here. And then you also want to clean all this with brake clean and a rag. You don't want any oil residue at all. Here's the new oil pan gasket. I'm going to sit that on top of the oil pan and then tighten the nuts up finger tight. Once you get the gasket and the pan up, you want to finger tighten all the bolts. And you want to tighten the bolts to 72 inch-pounds and then 108. I'll post the sequence here. Once you're done with that, you want to install the header, connect the exhaust back up. get the flywheel cover and the 2 brackets, and then top off with oil. So right now we're going to change the oil seal. Already took the axle out of the spindle and drained the transmission fluid. Right here you can see the axle seal. I'm just going to take a pick and put it behind it and yank it out. You want to make sure that you do not scratch the metal, because you'll always have a leak if you do that. So just be very careful when pulling that out. Here's the oil seal I took out. Wasn't really leaking on this side, but I figured since I bought both of them, I might as well change them. I purchased a National oil seal. Here's the part number. And this one actually looks a lot thicker on the sides here than the other one. So right in here I'm going to clean around this with brake cleaner, make sure there's no oil or anything. And I'm just going to take this, take a 35 or 36 millimeter socket and gently tap it into place. You want it to be flush with right here, not pressed too far in. There's the axle seal in, nice and flush. I'm going to put all this back together. Not going to tighten the ball joint up too much because the boot's ripped. So this needs to be replaced. The inner and outer tie rod, I'm going to replace that along with the bellows boot, because this is leaking too and this isn't going to pass inspection. So the driver's side is pretty much the same thing. I just loosened up the lower ball joint, took off the axle bolt, popped that out, loosened the 3 intermediate shaft bolts, pulled the whole thing out, popped the seal out. You can see where the oil is leaking through right here. Here's the new National. Here's a part number. I'm just going to pop this in the same way. I want to make sure I clean it up with the brake clean and a rag, and then assemble this side back together loosely, and that'll be it for this. So I removed this half rad because it was only sitting on 1 tab at the bottom, so it's super loose, and I'm not sure if they're going to fail that for inspection. So I installed a full-size radiator off the JDM front end I have. I also installed the Blackworks radiator stays. The only thing is that the outlets on the radiator seem a little small for the hoses. I'm not sure if the JDM SIRs have a smaller radiator hose or not, but it fits pretty good even with the header, except for the fan a little bit right there. But that'll be fine, it'll melt anyway. I have to pick up a radiator cap because the one from the half rad doesn't fit. So everything's back together for the most part. I do have to get some tie rods and ball joints, but right now I'm going to fill the trans up. We use Valvoline 1030 and Synchro Mesh. I always use this in all my cars, and it works pretty good. So I'll pop the speed sensor out and I'll fill it up through there. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. There's still a couple more things I have to do to get the car to pass inspection. Inner and outer tie rods, the boots that go around those, lower ball joints, and I'll have to see how much it costs to order a set of upper Skunk 2 replacement ball joints, because I'll have the arms but the ball joints are shot. So hopefully this car is ready to go to inspection when I get back from vacation. I'm going to Toronto for 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll be able to check out the car scene up there. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.